for Nicaraguan Name That Movie with Adam's buddy Oswaldo. See if you can guess which movie this famous line is from.
The next time I have to come here, I am cracking a skull.
If you said The Breakfast Club,
The next time I have to come in here, I'm cracking skulls.
you're correct. Now, back to the show.
Trigger warning, Anthony Michael Hall, and it's coming out on Netflix June 21st. Jessica Alba's also in this. Anthony plays the big boss man.
Corrupt senator.
God,
Ezekiel Swan. What a name.
Life's a weird thing. So I had this laptop computer that was sitting in storage or something, and I hadn't opened it in I don't know, 4 years or 3 years or something. I just charged it up and I opened it the other day, and I just hit the mail, and at the top of it is an email from Nick Santora telling me that voice that you just heard, Oswaldo Castillo, just died. But this was 3 years ago.
Oh, wow.
But it was Nick giving his condolences and explaining, what how sorry he was and stuff like that. So it's weird that we were just talking about Santora, and then we just played Ozzy's voice. And Nick loved Ozzy because Ozzy was in a movie I made and stole the show, but Nick didn't know Ozzy wasn't an actor. He was that guy.
Got it.
And he thought it was, somebody doing an amazing job at this character, sort of R. Lee Ermey-esque, which is that guy's not. That's who that guy is.
Right.
So full circle.
Also
with
reminds me
Nick
of
and
Guillermo,
Ozzy.
too. Talk about great comic. What a comedian he's become.
Yeah.
He's great. On the carpet, nothing better than Guillermo.
Yeah, Guillermo's great. I think he just worked security for the first...
He should own his own town in Mexico at this point.
I know. He was probably at Kimmel's for... Geez, I don't know, 5 years or 3 years, or I was there at the beginning.
Yeah,
for a long time.
Very loyal guy, Mr. Kimmel.
Oh, the best.
Yeah,
the best. Nobody's better. All right, we got some. Maybe Centaur's a little better. We got some news to get into.
Yeah, so there's a viral video of a speed walking race that went around over the weekend. It was for the European Athletics Championship, and I typically don't watch speed walking races. But,
that's always hilarious.
but this one, the reason everyone's talking about it is because the Spanish competitor, Garcia Caro, she did a celebration way too early. So she thought she was ahead. She celebrates. She thinks she's getting bronze. She's getting her first medal at a major. And she starts celebrating, and she gets passed up by a Ukrainian. Like,
everyone loves that story, right? The premature celebration.
We've talked about it in football.
Don't count your chickens.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, there's video of it somewhere. So
I bet she sped walk out of there after that.
The rules for speed walking is you cannot have both feet off the ground at the same time.
Yeah, one foot must be touching the ground.
All right. Seems difficult to enforce.
I know, especially it goes so quick. And so she thought she was ahead in the last lap to where she went and got her country's flag and draped it around herself like a cape.
She went nationalistic pride too. Huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then she started cheering, and then she looks over to her right, and the Ukrainian competitor.
Wow, that's a big overreacher.
Gets the bronze.
Wow.
She doesn't get it. And the person who beat her, she just served a 4-year doping ban.
Oh, here she is. Wow.
But
and it's Gus. Oh my word, she's been caught.
Yes,
wow, speed walking.
They're fast.
Has evolved.
Here, look, you can see her. She thinks she got it. She's like, yeah. She sticks her tongue out. She's ready to go. No!
Reality bites.
She's gonna be a meme. That's a meme, right?
Oh yeah,
there.
she's getting memed. Yeah.
Brutal.
Yeah. Oh man.
That's like
how big was her lead?
Yeah, it looked like
it was big enough to where she can get the flag.
Wow. She thought she was the winner.
Well, if I know her, she'll land on her feet. But 1 foot, only one at a time. But she'll be back. Can't keep her down. Wow.
There you go.
And then where are you if you're the second place person who now has first place, but it was because the person was hanging back and kind of coasting?
Yeah. Right.
You're still that into it, like, famously in Ford v. Ferrari, and I did a doc on it, so I know the story. But Ken Miles, is winning. He's told at Le Mans, he's told to slow down and let the other guys catch up. Do you know the story?
I think I remember hearing about it. Yeah.
And, the Ford GT40s are all going to sweep first, second, third, and they want to get a picture of them all going across the finish line at the same time.
Right.
So Ken Miles, who's way out front, they sort of radio, though they didn't have radios back then, but they sort of get the message to him when they're doing a driver's change. Like the big man, Ford, wants to slow it down. We want a photo finish of all the Fords coming across at the same time. So then he slows down, and then they cross at the same time. And then, I don't know, Bruce McLaren or who caught up to him ends up getting the victory because his car started back 18 feet further.
Got it.
In the grid. So he traveled a further distance.
And
when
that was detailed in the movie, right? This sequence?
Yeah, that was in the movie. Yeah. And I did a doc about it, so I sort of was able to lay it out. But I don't know, you win Le Mans, but you won Le Mans because the guy who was supposed to win Le Mans didn't, was told to slow down. And then you passed him or you finished at the same time. I mean, you won Le Mans.
Right.
That's pretty good. There is actually, you know what, Dawson, you can find this. That's a Porsche. Anthony's a Porsche guy, but there is footage of Ken Miles talking after. So the big three would be Le Mans, 24 hours of Daytona, and the 12 hours of Sebring. There is a interview with Ken Miles at Sebring after winning Sebring because Dan Gurney car broke on the very last lap of like a 12-hour race, and he pushed his car across Gurney pushes his car, but that's illegal to get out of your car, whatever. And Ken Miles gets interviewed, and he's like, I'm embarrassed. Like he just said it. He said it. I feel bad for Dan, and I feel kind of embarrassed. But I'll take the Triple Crown. But it's interesting that he would have been the only guy to take the Triple Crown in 1 year. That's Le Mans, Daytona, and Sebring. But he got screwed out of Le Mans because he slowed down. But Gurney got screwed out of Sebring that same year because he broke at the very end of the race and Miles won. So Miles would have kind of had an asterisk by it anyway, because one of the three of the triple, basically what happened to him happened to Gurney the race before at Sebring.
Boomerang karma.
Boomerang, yeah.
That's a wild story, man.
Oh, the craziest one is...
I love McQueen, so Le Mans is great. I mean, not much of a movie, but it's exciting to
visually.
watch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
You know who owns that car?
Who does?
Take a guess. Who
Adam
owns
Carolla.
the Le Mans
Jimmy Kimmel or Adam
917?
Carolla? Jay Leno? Good guess.
I'm going to tell you, and then you're going to be upset.
Seinfeld.
There you go.
He did.
He's got that car. I've seen it. It's in a million pieces in Van Nuys, California.
Wow. So Jerry has a big warehouse, huh? Wow.
Yeah, it's $25 million worth of car. Jesus Christ. Yeah, that scene. Ken Miles at Sebring. I think you'll find it. So I
got it. Stand by.
This is how guys used to roll.
Yeah.
Now they'd be taking selfies and screaming at everyone and whatever. But Ken Miles wins, feels bad for Gurney, and says he's embarrassed. That's how men used to act in this country, or maybe throughout the world. Yeah. You didn't feel good about winning a race that you kind of didn't win.
Right.
Or you probably shouldn't have won.
Right.
So I don't know how the Ukrainian woman is doing, or whatever, the woman who won the one who won, but also, speedwalking's come a long way.
I mean, I think their time was like an hour 28 something, so it was a long race.
I honestly did not know it was an event.
Yes,
Wow.
2 laps.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just kidding. But
Speedwalking.
3-pointer from Chris.
Speedwalking. All I remember from speedwalking is I only saw guys do it, and they were always wearing those weird painter's hats. You had to wear a weird cap, like the weird papery painter. That was the cap of the speedwalker. I don't know who started that.
Yeah.
All right, I'm sorry. You got Ken? Ken at Sebring. You can hear the real Ken Miles.
All right, cool.
And see that that's how he kind of looked and stuff, too. Getting
Walt Hanskin third. Skip Scott fourth. First Sports. 4 Porsches in the top 10.
Winterstein Moore Stingray First GT. Victory Lane and the Gurney story after this word.
Ken Miles and Lloyd Ruby, and of course the Beauty Queens.
Beauty queen.
Ken Miles, are you as surprised as we are?
I'm slightly ashamed.
Well, it was a big day for Ford, wasn't it?
It was a good day for Ford. I'm very happy with the Ford Motor Company. I'm very sorry indeed for that. He really deserved to win the race. He's
Looks like Geddy Lee from Rush.
Something happened to the last one.
How did Lloyd go for it?
All
This is
right.
your third big
So
long
he
distance
says
win.
he's slightly ashamed and he feels really bad for Dan. Dan Gurney ran the race, deserved to win the race, and he feels ashamed. That's a bygone era.
Right.
Well,
You
I
do
mean,
not
it's-
see that
Right.
anymore.
It's kind of still happening with athletes who, let's say, like Jalen Brunson on the Knicks. They were interviewing, "Hey, how'd you think the season was? It's the best the Knicks have done in decades." And he goes, "We didn't. No, this didn't count. We didn't win. We're out.
I like
we're out
that.
of contention. We failed.
Yeah.
I'm ashamed."
Okay.
Without advancing, right? Yeah.
Sorry for Julius Randle.
All right. Okay. Look, I always love it. I love that. I love it
Humility.
when
Yeah.
humility.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. I could tell you a Santora humility story, but I won't get into it. But it's okay. He did. Somebody made a movie that was his idea that he he told me. He told me 2 years earlier. I got this idea. I bought the rights to it. I'm doing this thing. And blah blah blah. And then 2 years later. 3 years later, movie came out. His movie came out, and I called him. I was like, "Nick, you got your movie made?" And he's going, "No, that was not me."
Wow.
And I said, "What's? Aren't you pissed? Are you going to sue somebody?" Or whatever? He goes, "No, it's on me. I screwed up. It's not going to happen again." That was it.
Boom. On to the next.
On to the
That's
next.
a trip, huh?
Yeah.
Theft.
Speaking of movies, so Glen Powell just had a movie out on Netflix, a wonderful streaming service, which will have trigger warning out in a couple of weeks.
Right.
So he was promoting the film Hitman, and he was on a podcast, and he was talking about his sister's friend. So he was telling a story about a sister's friend who went on a date with a guy. She went to his apartment at the end of the night, and he offers to massage her with some lotion, and she just thought the vibe was too weird. So after getting a massage with some of the lotion on her shoulder, she leaves immediately. And then here's the rest of the story here.
Wow.
Yeah. That happened to me, but I was like, I'm taking the lotion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her skin starts itching like crazy the next day. She goes to the doctor the next day, and he does a test on her skin, and it turns out that it's like a black market lotion that breaks down skin for human consumption. This man was rubbing lotion on her body to eat her. So the doctor's like, "You got to give me this person's address, and you should call the police." They go to this guy's house, and he had several girls' bodies in the house.
Dude.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Cannibalism in a tube.
Right.
Wow.
So this clip went viral over the weekend, but a lot of people are saying this sounds very similar to an urban legend from back in the day.
There's a couple things. If somebody says, "Would you like a back rub? I got some lotion. Let me just put on my surgical gloves." I'd be like, "Well, wait a minute. Are we getting intimate here or not? Why do you got to go put welder's gloves up and a full smock and a mask
Or
on?"
you go, "Mr. Weinstein, I won't be available when the film is being made." No, that's another story.
Who makes this cream
That's
and how you would
crazy.
feel it burning like a?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, skin cream that makes your skin shed. Wow.
And then, I mean, didn't the internet kill urban legends? I mean, there were, of course, before the internet, we all knew a few growing up.
There was like the story of the hook hanging on the back of the van. That was a camping story. That was like some guy with a hook. I don't know. These are campfire. Then there's all the kind of Rod Stewart stuff, and then there's the oh God, what's his name? Richard Gere stuff.
Chernobyl.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm not buying this.
I don't think anybody is anymore. Yeah, but it got millions and millions of views over the weekend.
Wow.
Made news.
What's a cream that's gonna take your skin and
Get it ready for human consumption?
No, I don't think this exists.
Right.
I've never been in that pharmacy. I get.
Well, it's black market.
I get
Adam.
crab shampoo. I get that. That has a practical application. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to there's a juror who is dismissed from a trial after reporting that a woman dropped a bag of $120,000 in cash at her home and offered her more money if she would vote to acquit 7 people charged with stealing over $40 million from a program meant to feed children during the pandemic.
Wow.
Wow. And so she dropped the dime on the person that dropped the
She
cash
dropped
up?
the dime on the person who dropped the dollars.
Yeah.
And she was removed from the trial.
Yeah, the pandemic fraud seemed like crazy. How many? There's never been a better time to be an official, or to run a city, or to be a congressperson, or to be a governor, or whatever, because there's no. So they just sit around and they go like, well, in California, we just spent $24 billion on homelessness, and now we got more homeless problems. And everyone just goes, I don't even know. I gotta go home. I'm tired of this.
I don't have time to think about this anymore.
Yeah, what I'm saying is it's like they go. It's so astronomical. So like when I was growing up, it'd be like that house cost $200,000. You know, your dad makes $31,000 a year. That house is $200,000. Your dad makes $22,000 a year. That Ferrari is $61,000. But it's all stuff you could kind of wrap your mind around. Right. Now it's like, well, we sent out checks, and prisoners in the California penal system took $200 billion in fraudulent PPE checks, and we all just go, nah, no. What are you going to do?
Well, so
I know.
A lot of people got their hands caught in the cookie jar with the PPE.
Well, once we got into the billions, everyone just went,
it's too much.
We're building a monorail from Merced to Bakersfield. We're $200 billion over budget.
Right.
Yeah, okay, so I'm going home.
I'm exhausted.
It's so crazy. The deficit? We pay $1 billion in every single day just in interest on, and they just go, yeah, I know, but I'm going home.
Who's getting these metrics? Yeah, exactly.
It's so mind-numbing that we don't know what to do with it anymore. Right. When we were dealing in, like we'd go, that guy took $12,000 from that store owner to change his policy. We go, that's outrageous. That's half a year's work for Jim Carolla. But once we got into the billions, we all just sit back and go, I don't know, just print more money.
Just tap out at a certain point,
So these 7 defendants, they're the first of 70 defendants expected to go to trial in a conspiracy that cost taxpayers $250 million.
Yeah.
Prosecutors say the fraction of the money went to feed low-income kids, while the rest was spent on luxury cars, jewelry, travel, and property.
It never fails.
Yeah.
That's all we can do.
I remember first catching wind of all these stories, and I was just amazed how many people were just trying to milk it with the PPE thing. Like, my business. Yeah, we lost 200,000, like you're saying, Adam, with the numbers. Like, okay.
Right, yeah.
Nebulous.
Let me give a plug, since Riley Gaines is waiting out in the lounge there. Trigger Warning is the name. Netflix, June 21st. Anthony, come back anytime you like. Please, I feel like we just barely scratched your lotto ticket here, man.
It was a pleasure, man. Thanks for having me today.